What's up, guys? This video might be a little bit all over the place. I was at Formula Drift over the weekend, met a couple cool people. Adam LZ, Larry Chen was there.
Let's see now, Adam LZ, he seems to
But had a good time there. It's time to get focused on the E36. Today in this episode, we are gonna try and get this thing all prepped and ready to go. We got a big E36 meet coming up. Gonna do some canyon driving and a little car show here in the valley. A lot of E36 showing up, so I want to get this thing in prime condition, especially because I'm hosting the meet. We're going to be running a smaller pulley on this thing, and then just fixing some minor things. Got some new tires and alignment. I found out the rear toe, there's a lot of rear toe in this thing. So hopefully these tires will last a little bit longer. And then I have to do a little bit of a retune after I upgrade the pulley, because we're going from a 90 mil to 80 mil. So that'll significantly turn up the boost. At higher RPMs with a smaller pulley, we're gonna be overspinning the supercharger a little bit, but it's not a big deal because I really live in the low to mid-range RPM when I'm canyon driving, so I'm not really hitting rev limiter all that often, so should still have some pretty good life out of the supercharger itself. So yeah, a lot of you wanted to see a lot more E36 content and wondering where the E36 was. It's just been too hot to run that car in the summer. I do have a stock radiator back on that car after my CSF cracked, so heat management wise, it wasn't really in the best condition to be running that car hard in like 100-degree weather. A lot of you also want to see more VEMS standalone ECU content, so I'm actually going to walk through today on how easy it is to actually do a retune on that and get the fueling dialed in. The other thing is I actually still have the stock exhaust manifolds and cats on it, so I'm gonna have my buddy Chris decat it, and maybe I'll get some headers for it too, but really the cats being this old, they're probably clogged. And I also just switched to Haggerty's collector car insurance, so I don't have to do emissions on this thing anymore in Arizona. So all the emissions crap can go away, can run my standalone ECU and not have the government up my ass. All right, so let's get this pulley changed out. One thing to note about these rotrex superchargers is you cannot in any way spin these things backwards. If you spin them backwards, apparently the counter shaft inside, the bolt comes loose and you can't retighten it unless you take the whole thing apart, which I think is stupid, but that's how it is. So I have a little strap wrench and it's gonna go around the pulley so I can hold the pulley in place while I'm loosening this bolt. So actually, pulley size difference is a lot more substantial than I originally thought. This was a 90 mil pulley that was on there originally, and everything that I read online was saying that this was supposed to be an 85 stock. I wasn't sure if you had to measure from like the inside of the grooves, because that takes 5 mil off, but anyways, I don't know. So this is truly going from 90 mil to 80 mil. So hopefully I don't have to change belt size, but yeah, that's a substantial difference. This probably had a 90 mil pulley on it because it was for like a base model E36 and not the M3. And I believe the stage 2 kit from Active Auto Work ran in 85 mil instead of 90 mil. So yeah, smaller pulley you go, more boost you have. So this is gonna be a pretty big jump. Okay, we got the shorter pulley on, got it down to 50 foot-pounds of torque, torquing that bolt down, and I put a little bit of blue Loctite on there. We got to do a little test drive to make sure it's all good and that belt isn't going to slip. I have a feeling I'm going to have to go down one size in belts because that pulley size was a lot bigger than I was thinking. But can't really drive too far. So my tires are absolutely roasted, so we're just going to go around the block to make sure it's all good. I don't know if you can see those tires. And for some reason it like delaminated the inside of the tire and the whole inside is down to belts. So hopefully I don't blow a tire, but on Monday I'm going to get an alignment and all new tires on this thing. Alright, so one thing I had to fix here before we went for a drive, I put too much preload on this active auto work bypass valve. You could tell this little top screw right here. They say to only screw it in just so like it just barely threads in and then like one turn after that. And I had it pretty cranked down, so that was putting a lot of preload inside of that diaphragm, and it was not allowing that thing to blow off at higher RPM, and I was getting some compressor surge, which is pretty bad on a supercharger setup. So got that all fixed up, put a little bit of blue Loctite on there to make sure it doesn't back off and that it seals. So hopefully that should be a little bit better, and I wanted to get that taken care of before I did the retune as well. One other thing before we get into the tuning process, this kind of sucks. So I have my output from the VEM standalone, and I have to run a cable all the way to the inside of my car through the window because I don't have the Bluetooth module. So if anybody knows how to hook up the VEM's Bluetooth module, let me know if you have experience with that, or just tuning these in general. I could definitely use some tips. Okay, so we got the VEM software open. I'm just gonna go up to Tools and then Live VE Analyzer, and I'm just gonna come into the settings here and not have a minimum RPM limit. I'm just gonna let it do its thing, and then come back to Control and then hit Live VE Analyzer and Auto Tune. Alright, I'm going to keep an eye on my boost gauge here because I'm not really too sure how much boost this thing's going to make with a bigger, smaller pulley. So we're just going to keep an eye on that and just keep looking at our logs here and see how we do. That was about 5 pounds of boost right there. Our auto tune is doing its thing. I think it actually needs to come up to temp, so let me let it warm up for a minute here. This thing definitely pulls really hard. I think that was almost like 10 psi right there. Yeah, this thing feels good. So I don't know if you can see this on the screen, but it's actually adding like 10% fuel in some places. So really need to just drive around and have this thing correct the VE table for me. It's been a while since I've taken this thing out to the canyon, so let's see how it does here. I just need to hit more load cells on the ECU so I can tune it better. So it's a good place to do it because there's a lot of undulations in the road. Okay, so all these green cells are the cells that got tuned. The red and dark red ones are the ones that still need tuning, so I need to hit those cells while I'm driving. But mainly while you're driving, if you look at a VE table, you're really only hitting this sort of linear chart, especially in NA or supercharged cars. Turbo cars, you'll kind of get like a ramp up or a ramp down, so you won't hit all of these load cells all the time. But you could see the amount that was corrected. Some of these cells are taking away 15% of fuel, while others are adding like 10 to 20%. So I just need to focus on getting that dialed in a little bit better. And when I go home, I can actually take some of the green cells that are tuned already and sort of guesstimate where their neighboring cells are gonna land. All right, let's see if we can not hit any traffic on the way back, but this alignment feels pretty good. The only thing is, I think the tires just have too much air in them. I know when they mount tires, they pump them up to like 40 PSI, and I got like no grip right now, so kind of fighting that. It's kind of fun drifting the corners, but I'd like to have some grip. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the results of that pulley change, and then after a little bit of tuning, it's driving really great. And I have a bunch more mid-range power, which helps you know, exit corners and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely worth doing. I think I was actually smelling clutch a couple times at like 5,000 RPM when I was really getting on it, and I feel like that's where the majority of the torque comes on in this setup. So still running a stock clutch with unknown mileage. I've had this car for like, I think like 3 or 4 years now and haven't changed the clutch yet, so it's probably due, especially with power adders. But I am also seeing that I'm hitting like 105, 110% duty cycle on the fuel system, so I think I'm probably gonna have to change out the fuel pump eventually, and possibly the fuel pressure regulator. I don't know, we'll see when we get there. These are green top injectors out of a Volvo Turbo. I think they're out of like a C50 Volvo. They're supposed to do pretty well, but yeah, I think it's just my fuel pump, because I did change out the fuel pump, but it's still a stock pump, and probably use like a Walbro 255 or something like that. So if you guys have any questions on my supercharger setup or the VEM standalone ECU, let me know in the comments. Or what do you think of the car in general? I think it turned out pretty well. Again, I've had this car for like 3 years, and I was kind of just tired of driving just all stock, you know, powertrain. So Supercharger was a good addition, and I got it for pretty decent price used on the Facebook Marketplace. So yeah, stay tuned for the next one, guys. Some pretty cool content coming up. I'm going on the Devil's Highway in Arizona, and we're going to be driving hundreds of miles of twisties in the F82 M4. So it should be a lot of fun, and I'm gonna do some filming on the way. So stay tuned for that one.